So I often have a high volition to want to spread happiness and also to see the beauty in the world. But sometimes when I see things without dualities, and I realize that happiness and suffering inter-are, and beauty and ugliness inter-are, I lack the purpose or volition for goodness or beauty, because it seems meaningless. If all things are one another, what is the purpose? How can we have purpose to do good and to create happiness if happiness is interbeing with suffering and beauty is interbeing with ugliness?
When I was a young monk, reading the sutras, I learned that the Buddha also practices sitting meditation and walking meditation, mindful breathing, and so on. And I asked myself, why you have already become a Buddha and you need to practice more? And that has become a kind of object for my meditation. That question is linked to another question, whether the Buddhas still suffer as a human being. Because the Buddha is not a god. The Buddha is an enlightened being who has a lot of compassion and insight. And also, the other question is, if having become a Buddha, you continue to suffer, and what is the use of becoming a Buddha? And I tried to meditate, and I have found the answers by myself. That reality, can we describe it in terms of interbeing? If there is no right, there is no left. If there is no subject, there is no object, and so on. The notion of interbeing, good and evil, and reality transcends all these notions. But speaking from the conventional truth, because there are two kinds of truth, conventional truth and ultimate truth, we still have to use the word, the notions of birth and death, being and non-being, happiness and suffering, and so on. So if we touch the ultimate truth, then we can transcend all these notions. We'll be at peace. But still in the realm of conventional truth, that truth can be applied also. It's like classical science represented by Newton, still applicable. Because happiness cannot be by itself alone. That is why suffering has to be there in order to play the role of a non-happiness element. A lotus is made of non-lotus elements, including the mud. So without the mud, there is no lotus. There is no suffering. There is no happiness without suffering. Because happiness is made of non-happiness elements. And among these non-happiness elements, there is the element of mud. So mud is very, very essential It is by making good use of the mud that you can have lotus. It is by making good use of ugliness that you have beauty. It is by making good use of suffering that you have happiness. So for a person like a Buddha who has a lot of understanding and compassion, if he has to suffer, he suffers much, much less. And that is the advantage of being a Buddha. If you have to suffer, you suffer much less because you know how to suffer. You have so much wisdom. And then you can make good use of the suffering in order to create understanding and compassion. And that is the answer to my first question, whether a Buddha still suffers after having become a Buddha or not. As for the other question, is that everything is impermanent, including happiness. If everything is impermanent, then love and happiness are also impermanent. And that is why the Buddha, having love and happiness, has to continue to nourish love and happiness. That is why he continued to do walking meditation, sitting meditation, mindful breathing. So it's very comfortable to know that everything is impermanent, that everything interease with everything else, and you see a perfect coordination between the relative conventional truth and ultimate truth.